And the final speaker up here, well, second to the last, I'm sorry, Mike Poindexter, Sheriff of Modoc County, California.
Come on, folks, let's hear it. Let's get it. Come on. Come on, Big Mike.
I just kind of wing it when I go to these things. I'm not much of a speechifier. Modoc County, a little history, I guess I'll do for my little county as well. We're at the very northeast corner of California. They call it the last frontier. It's really not like being in California at all. We're and I can really relate to to Gil here. We're the 10th largest county in the state of California geographically. Out of 58 counties, my budget is 57th. So we have no money. We have some local government with a lack of integrity, to say the least. So we have other issues that compound our financial problems and beyond what everybody else is experiencing. I run a jail. It's about 75 beds with 5 correctional officers and 1 sergeant, completely in violation of the law. I run a dispatch center for 23 different entities with 4 people. I beg anyone to please help me if you can figure out a way to schedule that. 24/7, 365, it can't be done. Yet we do it. I have 6 deputies for 4,200 square miles, 3 of which are resident deputies. I had to close the office, put a sign up, "We're closed," so I could come today, basically. Well, I will have to, actually, after the board cuts my assistant sheriff, what they just last Friday told me they're going to do. So we've got some real problems, and I got involved in this whole thing, gosh, over a year ago when Gil had Fred Kelly Grant up. I came up and listened to Fred, and I too have been taking the oath several times, many times. I was born at Camp Pendleton. My dad was a Marine. My oldest was born at Camp Pendleton. So I took an oath of office when I went to service. I took an oath of office when I went on the California Highway Patrol when I got out of the Marine Corps in 1978. And I worked in LA for 10 years and moved up to Modoc County, spent the last 18 years up there. 15 of it working pretty much out of the sheriff's office on loan, working narcotics and things, so I was very familiar with the sheriff's office and what was going on. Somehow or another I got retired and got roped into running for sheriff, and here I am. But the oath became something very interesting because, like everyone else, I didn't really think about it and study it. And as a sheriff, I have, because I realize how important it is. We are the constitutional officer. We are, and I like to say, and I will say, I am the people's sheriff. I work for the people, period. My job is to look out for your health, safety, and welfare. And I made a vow that I would never make a decision in my office based on what's politically correct or what's the easy way. And I haven't. We'll let the chips fall where they may, but we're going to do it right. I went back and I thought, how many of my deputies, even though I don't have a ton of them, know what the oath is about? So I made sure they understood the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and re-swore them. So they do know, and I expect them to live by it. I raised 4 kids. I have 8 grandchildren, and those are the ones that I'm concerned about. I put my kids through college, and I scratch my head as to why I'm paying some liberal college professor to try to completely brainwash my child. Everything I spent 18 years trying to train them to do really upset me. my philosophy is I brought my kids up so that it would be safer for them than anyone that gets crossways to them. And thank God I did. Yeah, because you get a little piece of paper that really isn't worth much of anything. I've gone to 5 or 6 of these now. Gone to Las Vegas twice. Because really what this is, folks, is about education. We have to educate ourselves. We have to educate the people across this country, the silent majority, because I'm telling you, rural America is on their list. If they have their way, we'll be living in some high-rise in a slot. They'll have our guns, they'll have our rights, and we can't let it happen. We have to get off the sofa. We have to educate everybody we know. We have to look at the 5 boxes of freedom on the wall: the ballot box, the jury box, the soap box, the cartridge box, and the pine box. All right, we got to do it. We have to do it. Modoc County has, we're primarily, well, we used to have some logging, but that's gone. And because we were sleeping, like we've heard here today, we were sleeping when the spotted owl issues came through. Modoc County is primarily ranching. We export, we're second in the state for exporting feeder calves. We export probably 3 times as many feeder calves as we have people. So it's a big deal for us. We're 74% public land. Public land, by the way. It is public land. I don't know how many times I've heard BLM or the Forest Service tell me it's Forest Service land or BLM land. It is not. It is public land. I took peace officer authority away from the Forest Service in my county. They arrested a local citizen who, first of all, they wrote him a big giant ticket because they didn't like the way he was cutting his firewood for the winter. And rather than fight that, he paid it. The same guy pulled him over because he used to haul logs, but he's just trying to make a living. So there's a gravel pit up on our public land that he has a permit for. And, you know, he jumped through, I don't know, all the hoops he had to jump through to get it. And he's up hauling some gravel, and this Forest Service LEO stopped him. Didn't even look in the back of the truck to see if there's any gravel in it. I mean, they have a camera on their dashboard. I saw the tape. Goes up, arrests him because he doesn't have the permit with him. Arrests him. Hauls him, I don't know. He eventually took him to Tehama County, but he took him on a tour of Northern California in handcuffs. Took him up to Johns County. Dropped some gal off he had in the truck with him and shouldn't have been there. Ended up spending 4 days in jail.
Wasn't charged.
You know, and because he couldn't show him the permit. Well, the permit wasn't required to be carried in the first place. If you'd asked him, it's at home in his file, which is just about 4 miles down the road. If you really wanted to see it, maybe you could have just followed him down there and saved a whole lot of trouble. That really upset me. Doug Knox brought that citizen into me, and I immediately took all peace officer powers away from those folks. And,
yes, he did, folks. Yes, he did.
Well, I had...
Big time.
I said I would testify for him in court. Didn't have to. The federal judge, even in this case, which is rare, threw the case out. Said no. In fact, the federal judge was so upset he nullified the ticket from the firewood cutting prior to that, which was kind of amazing to me. But I had like 5 guys show up from the Forest Service after I did that in my office. And they were wanting to know why I did that. If I, clear from the Bay Area, clear up Modoc. And I said, well, because I can't have that knucklehead standing tall in front of my desk like I would one of my deputies if he pulled some bonehead thing like that. I can't discipline him. What he did was wrong. And they proceeded to ask me more questions and argue with me as to why I should give them powers. I pulled out their own letter that they'd written recently to, I guess, all the sheriffs, the Western state sheriffs, California state sheriffs, wanting to expand their authority, which we've all said no, collectively. Western states and California states, I don't know about Oregon. And at the very end of it, I said, here, this sums it up. It basically shows why they wanted to do it and said that it would better enhance their mission. Well, but their mission was, number one, right there on their document, take care of natural resources, the Forest Service employees, and somewhere down the line at the end it was the people. And I said, you know, I've been a public servant my whole life. And after the people, it said on Forest Service land. So I said, look guys, you made a mistake coming here. And they said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, first of all, you didn't bring enough help. Because that's not going to happen in my county until you get it right. So don't go away mad, just go away. Haven't heard from them since. Some fires in Modoc because they don't seem to be able to keep the fuel levels down. We have 60,000 acres burned. And creates a real problem for us. You know, we all scratch our head, and I look at my board, and all they can figure out to do to get more money is cut my department, which already can't operate, instead of looking at other ways. You know, we had, of the 50,000 acres that burned on the north end of our county, 23,000 of it was Collins Pines. Collins Pines is, I mean, those trees were still smoking and they were hauling them out of there. And you think I'm going to be able to get the Forest Service to market some of that timber that burned in Modoc? I don't know, but I'll tell you what, I'm working on it, and I mean, I'm after them. They should be hauling them out of there already. I don't know if I'm going to have any luck. But the big problem this presents for us, and there would be money there, is mainly in our ranching community. Because our ranchers require, I mean, they are permittees on public land. You know, they've got these rules where now we can't put cows out there for 2 years. Well, some of this land burned pretty hot. Why? Well, because the Forest Service didn't ever thin it out or take any of the down fuel out. So some of it burned pretty hot, and you know, it probably will take a while to get the grass to come up there. But some of it didn't. And where are our ranchers going to put those cows next year? And what's going to happen to their ranch? Well, they're going to care. I'm telling you, I'm going to hold their feet to the fire in Modoc County, and we're going to figure out a way to get those cows out there and get some of them trees cut and get some money for it.
All right.
We have to. One thing that happened that really upset me, and I got to say they were pretty good about holding meetings and letting us know what was going on, but there was zero communication between the ranchers and the firefighters and the incident commands. And it was a type 1 fire, grew to a type 1 fire, which means they get these, that's the serious one, and they get all these people, and I'm running around up there, and I'm telling you, I didn't see anybody fight fire. I mean, there's guys leaning on shovels, there's guys asking me, where is this place, how do you get here? Not one of them was from anywhere around our country. I go to the incident command post, and they're from like somewhere back east. They have no idea where they're at or anything to do with the lay of the ground. So what we've done, as I'm also the director of OES in my county, is we formed a Modoc County area local advisory committee, and what I'm going to do as OES is anytime we have an incident like this, because as OES they can't stop me, I'm going to inject myself into the incident command post, and with me is coming the people. Now years ago it would have been loggers, but in my county it's ranchers who know the territory, so that they're not setting backfires, burning their cattle up, because we know where they're at and we have communication, and they're not trying to make a stand in some area where it's absolutely going to do no good. So, and it just makes sense. And this is the whole key, really. It's what we're all trying to do, at least the way I look at all of this, is get control, some control, back into the local hands where it belongs. I'm forcing them to do this by taking this I'm hitting them on the flank. We'll see how it works, I don't know. But that's what we have to do, really. We have to educate, we have to use the coordination process, we have to hold their feet to the fire, and we have to say, look, this is the way our founding fathers, God bless them, they were very smart people. You know, they put checks and balances in. We have the Bill of Rights because they knew we were going to mess it up. Nobody's ever held their feet to the fire, so they totally run amok. I mean, the government is supposed to be run from the bottom up. We need to take it back. And that's how we're going to do it. It's all you guys. So I'm just going to reiterate, get out like everybody else has. You know, I think every one of these I learned something. And if everybody that attends one learns something, and then make sure that they make someone else aware of it. The Constitutional Sheriff's Convention this year was a lot of different sheriffs that were there last year, but who was it? Was talking about Delaware. It was Bruce. That poor sheriff. They've stripped his authority. He can't make an arrest. He can't do anything. And you know what? Guess who's doing it? One of the legislators in his state, Joe Biden's son. Yeah, he's the main guy. But you know what? The thing is, little by little, we're starting to catch on, and we're taking it back. Nye County, Nevada. I mean, the judge held the BLM guys in contempt. Good for him. So it's, you know, we just got to keep it up. We just got to stay after it. I want to thank all the veterans in the room. I want to thank the wives of the veterans. I want to thank everybody who has a child or someone that's near and dear to them that's served or is serving. Gosh darn it, you know, we've had some real tragedy in my little county. Kids are still coming back in body bags and without their arms and legs. You just don't hear about it anymore, and it just really upsets me. So God bless them. God bless America, and thank you all for coming.